The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Women won the right to vote with the 19th Amendment ratified in 1920. It was the culmination of more than 70 years of struggle since the first Women's Rights Convention was organized by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott in 1848 in Seneca Falls, New York. Yet, after 1920, women of color still faced bars to vote. It took another 45 years until they could truly exercise this right. In 1965, the Voting Rights Act prohibited racial discrimination. The women's suffrage movement was a long and difficult fight. Some suffragists traveled thousands of miles campaigning for the right to vote. Others were mocked, arrested, and jailed. The stories of these brave women have to be remembered. On March 3, 1913, the day before President Woodrow Wilson's inauguration, the suffragists Alice Paul and Lucy Burns organized a huge parade in Washington. The activist Inez Milholland, riding a white horse, led the long procession. Thousands of women marched, and many of them were mocked and injured. By 1915, 12 states had granted women the right to vote. The Pennsylvania activist Catherine Wentworth Ruschenberger commissioned at her own expense a full-size replica of the Liberty Bell. The words "Establish Justice" were engraved on it, and the bell was called the Justice Bell. Its clapper was symbolically chained. It wouldn't ring until women won the vote. To draw support for the November suffrage referendum, the Justice Bell was taken in a truck to each county in Pennsylvania. It was met by large crowds of people. But despite the 5,000-mile tour campaign, the statewide referendum was finally defeated. But suffragists continued their fight for the vote, taking the Justice Bell around the country as a symbol of women's liberty. In 1917, members of the National Woman's Party, founded by Alice Paul, picketed in front of the White House for a federal suffrage amendment. Paul, Burns, and many other suffragists were arrested and sentenced to jail. Suffragists continued protesting and pressuring President Wilson to support women's suffrage. Finally, the same constitutional amendment written by Susan B. Anthony in 1878 was passed by the Congress in June 1919. But at least 36 states needed to vote for it before ratification. A new star was sewn on the suffrage flag for each state that ratified the amendment. By summer 1920, there were 35 states in favor of the amendment, and Tennessee was the last hope for the suffragists. On August 26, 1920, the 19th Amendment was officially ratified. A month later, the Justice Bell would be rung for the first time. A huge crowd gathered on Independence Square, Philadelphia, to celebrate the ratification of the amendment. Catherine Wentworth Ruschenberger gave a speech in the ceremony. Her niece unfastened the clapper's chains, and the Justice Bell finally rang.